What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the Big 12 Betting Preview Part 2. I'm Stuckey, and joining me, as always, my fellow BBOC co-host, Collin Wilson. Today, we are going to cover the rest of the Big 12. If you missed Part 1, make sure you check that out. We cover the 7 teams that are considered, I think, like all 12-ish to 1 or better to win the Big 12. In this episode, we're going to cover the remaining 9 teams: Kansas, Cincy, BYU, West Virginia, Colorado, Houston, Arizona, UCF, and Oklahoma State. And the objective will be to try to find a sleeper, a flyer worth taking in a conference that could have a ton of chaos once again. The Big 12 will kick off the college football season in Dublin when Kansas State and Iowa State face off 12 Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. We will be in Chicago for the Windy City kickoff. Please join us. You don't have to RSVP. Just come to Joe's on Weed. Doors open at 11 a.m. We'll be there. Drinks, bets. Kerner and Raybon will have an NFL fantasy live draft contest type thing that you can participate in. We'll have contests. It'll be really fun. I'll be there. Colin will be there. Producer Matt Mitchell will be there. Breeze, Duck. It'll be a lot of fun. Just show up, bring whoever you want. Drinks on me. Hope to see you there. And speaking of fantasy, quick heads up to anybody playing fantasy football this season. The Ultimate 2025 Draft Kit is here, courtesy of our Fantasy Labs team. That means our guys, Sean Kerner and Chris Raybon, have their rankings, tiers, and cheat sheets ready for you. But first, to get them, you'll need a Fantasy Labs subscription. And right now, new subscribers can use code FLEX20 for $20 off at fantasylabs.com/flex. Let Sean and Chris make your fantasy prep easier. Use code FLEX20 for $20 off at fantasylabs.com/flex. Nobody better in the business. They'll be rated near the top in the entire industry. I'm extremely confident for like whatever year in a row. So if you want to win your fantasy league, make sure you sign up for Fantasy Labs. Great tool. And other quick ask of all of you guys. We love you guys. Can't wait to sweat voicemails, sweat games, try to find winners every week. If you can, take 1 second, leave a 5-star review. If you've already done so, borrow your girlfriend, wife's phone. Really helps us out this time of the year. You can say whatever you want. Tell us who you like in the Big 12. But I'll have some contest giveaways for anyone that does that. So we do appreciate your support. But let's get started with trying to find a sleeper. I have a handful. I have 3 that we'll get to that I might dabble in. And I'm curious to get your thoughts as I'm still trying to figure out which 1 or 2 I want to throw some couch change at. Let's start with the Kansas Jayhawks. Best price you can find out there, 18 to 1 at DK. Win total, you can go over 6.5 minus 155, or you can go over 7 minus 110 at Circa. Kansas last year, man, it should have been better. Daniels, I think, wasn't healthy early in the year. They couldn't win any close games. They were 1-5 in one-possession games. They led in the fourth quarter in 10 games last year. And they just couldn't close. It was just a disappointing year. Then they got hot towards the end of the year, knocked off a bunch of ranked teams. I loved backing them. They were one of my favorite teams to back for about a month stretch.
We're about to lay like the largest wager in the world on the bowl game, right? I mean, they didn't get there. They were covering every game.
I would have loved to bet them at a bowl, but they didn't get there. They don't have a ton of returning production. This isn't a team that recruits very well. They don't have a ton of money. So there's a lot of questions on this roster. Now, Jalen Daniels is back, quarterback. That's a good start, but is he healthy? And can he stay healthy? He didn't participate in spring. He's got to build chemistry with his wide receivers because you lose Grimm, you lose Arnold, you lose Skinner, 2 of them to the NFL. That's 6,000 snaps. Let's throw the tight end Casey in there. Over 7,000 snaps of your pass catchers are gone. Now, you could argue maybe they're a little bit more athletic with some upside now, but the guys you're bringing in, Henderson from Alabama, Pickett from Ball State, you bring a Columbia guy, an Albany guy, 9 career FBS starts. 7,000 snaps lost, 9 career FBS starts at wide receiver now. They're going to need some of those guys to hit. They're going to need Daniels to stay healthy. You also lose one of your best running backs in program history, and Neal, to the NFL. Hinshaw's back. You had LaShawn Williams from Iowa. But it's all about the pass catchers. It's a lot of production loss across the board. Offensive line, guess what? You lost some more guys to the NFL. You lost your right tackle to the NFL, your left tackle to the NFL. You lost your left guard. You do have two really good ones back in the interior. Foster at center. He's been dealing with a bit of an injury, but I think he'll be good to go. And your right guard, Baines. Foster might be the best center in the conference. Who do you add? Like your right tackle, Cruz from Syracuse. He was bad there. Your left tackle, Tanner, maybe from Tulsa. He was bad at Tulsa.
Right.
Maybe like a UCLA left guard. Like, the offensive line could take a big step back. So we'll see how that comes together. So certainly a lot of questions on offense. They do have a new offensive coordinator. He's internal hire. They're going to go back to some of the stuff that Kotelnicki was doing, which I think is a better fit for Daniel. So there might be a schematic bump in that regard with Zebrowski running the show. Defensively, new defensive coordinator, also an internal hire. They need to find more pressure. They just need to generate more pressure. Robinson, their defensive end, is off to the NFL. They add a couple guys in the portal. They also lose a linebacker to the NFL. But I think they got a little bit more athletic at linebacker, a little more upside there with Lathan, Sip, Kamara coming in. So I don't mind their linebacker group, but it's the secondary. You lose two All-Americans, Dotson and Bryant, to the NFL. You lose your safeties. 9,500 snaps are gone from the top four in the secondary that you lost. Two of your corners to the NFL that were All-Americans. You're going to need your sophomores, Davis and Todd, to step up. You bring in, I don't know, a former four-star from Bama, Hurley. He could start. He's got some talent. We'll see. There's questions in the secondary. The path to being a sleeper, Daniel stays healthy. He's electric. Better, schematic fit with this offensive changing. Athletic wide receivers step up, and then the D transfers hit, and there's some scheme bump there. They just got to find a way to get more pressure. Maybe I think they're a little bit more athletic, but this team lost a lot. Last year was so senior laden. They lost 38 seniors. 9 guys from last year's team are on NFL rosters. From a scheduling perspective, they do get to play at home again if they're playing in Kansas City. They do face the bottom 4 in the Big 12 projected, so that's decent. They avoid Baylor. They avoid Arizona State. They avoid TCU. So this is another team that's relying on development, but they lose a ton of seniors. They don't really lose guys at the portal. Like, the culture's good. I like Leipold as a coach. But there's a lot gone from the pass catching, offensive line, secondary in particular. What are you seeing with Kansas?
Yeah, but the system is there, right? And I know, when Lance Leipold, when they were running this offense, when Lubick was the co-offensive coordinator with Kotelnicki, they made a big jump in 2022 and 2023. They made a big jump from the first season that Leipold was there, from 2-10 to 6-7. Then they went to 9-4, and this offense was a big part of it. And we could say, whatever X player was there, but the system that they're going back to has produced massive results. Now, what is this system? It is an extreme amount of pre-snap motion to get these 3-3-5 defenses to tip exactly what it is they're going to do. What makes me nervous about that is that you generally have your wide receivers that are the ones that are in heavy motion and running reverse orbits and, doing just some of the craziest offensive shit in the backfield, and the timing has to be perfect. So you start off with Fresno State. You could see some things happening in the backfield pre-snap motion, which Kansas does more than anybody, that just is a screw up. So that's something I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on. Not really the results from Kansas, Fresno State, but how does that Kansas offense get back to what they were 2 years ago? Because they do a lot of special things before the ball is even hiked. But Jalen Daniels has to stay healthy. This is like near Cam Rising frustration levels, because it'll be Saturday mornings at 9:45 and Stuck and I are doing a live show, and all of a sudden Jalen Daniels is out with no warning or no nothing. So we definitely need him to stay healthy. He's probably got a lot to play for. 300 rushing yards on the ground on design calls. That's probably going to increase this year. Running back Daniel Henshaw, 3.3 yards after first contact. He had 12 explosive runs. I think he's going to fill the role Well is the workhorse back. We'll see if he can put up a little bit more electric numbers to match what's been there. The the offensive line, I have a lot of questions about where they try to populate in here. But at the same time, they do a lot of moving the pocket around to kind of disguise some of the things that they're doing. So again, this is a full focus on this offense from game 1 against Fresno, and they need to have it cleaned up before they play Drink on September 6th. Top 6 tacklers are gone. 9 of the top 11 are gone. Edge Dean Miller's 6 sacks is a welcome return, but Kansas finished 7th in the portal ratings of all the Big 12 teams. They just really didn't go out and didn't spend like Texas Tech. They didn't spend anything like Texas Tech, but they didn't really pull anybody and get them to come to Lawrence. And corner Saeed Gibbs from Georgia Tech being the highest graded defensive back that they've got in. The D was 126 in line yards. That has to improve. 117th in creating contested catches. You didn't create any contested catches. And DK McDonald, I think this is his second season. I mean, you're going to have to turn this around. I don't think he's going to be there very long. Spent 21-20 with the Eagles. Yeah, he just came back. This is his second year. So,
coach last year. Like, corners were really good. I love Dotson and Bryant, but their safeties were disappointing. So that's where they could make it up. But like, do I love the safeties they brought in? Not really. They need some sophomores to step up. Like, what?
They draw Oklahoma State at home and they go to UCF and Arizona. So there's wins on this schedule. And so that led me to my bet on Kansas, which is a conference win total, which I make them 5.4, which is pretty high. But at the same time, when I look at this Big 12 schedule, the home games, you got West Virginia, who's coming in off Pitt, off the brawl. I mean, that's not a bad spot. You got Cincy coming in. I don't think Cincy's garbage, but hey, if all the teams you want coming to your house, not bad. Also draw Oklahoma State. I would want them to come to my house too. And on the road, UCF and Arizona, those are winnable games. And that's a path to 5. And that's a path that gets over 4.5 that's in the market, that's at even money right now. I like Kansas over 4.5 from Big 12 totals perspective. Maybe they can pull off, if Jalen Daniels is healthy, he can have an electric game, maybe pull off an upset somewhere. But there is a path to 5. And that is West Virginia, Cincy, Oak State, UCF, and Arizona.
Yeah, we'll see where Arizona is late in the year, Oklahoma State, where they're at late in the year. You get Utah, the last game of the year at home. Maybe that's for a chaotic scenario where you could get in the mix. I project from a league win perspective, I'm Baylor and Texas Tech, or I have them at like a little over 6. Kansas State, Arizona State, I have a little under 6. TCU, Utah, I have like at like 5.3-ish. And then I have Kansas and Iowa State around 5. So like, they're only like a win behind the top as far as my league win. So I can see like an 18-1. They're on my radar. I still want to see how like the offensive line, the wide receiver room, the secondary. Still want to get a little bit more intel there. My numbers project around. Let's see. I project 6.8-ish. So I'm close to market on the win total.
There's just so much more extra detail with the Lubick Kotelnicki offense than there is Grimes. And that's what I want to watch for the Fresno game.
Yeah, but a lot of change. And, it's not like they crushed the portal of recruiting. A lot of lost production, a lot of lost seniors. And then, like I mentioned, 5 of the top 7 that we covered in part 1 are in the top 20 in returning production. So, yeah, and then you got to worry about Daniels' health. So there's definitely a lot of questions here. All right, let's move on to the Houston Cougars, also top 20 in returning production. The best number you can find out there, 35-1 to win the conference. Best number on the win total, over 6.5 plus 105 at Caesars. Look, from a quarterback perspective, they bring in Connor Wigman. It can't get worse than last year. This team had 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. Zion Chris is back as well as your backup option. All of your running backs are back, and they add Dean Connors, who I like from Rice. He can do some things. Wide receiver perspective, there's some guys back, and then you bring in some lower-level transfers. I like the tight end room a lot. Tanner Koziel, I think, is a future pro from Ball State. I love him. Mm-hmm. The offensive line, I like some of their ads. They were not great last year, but guys like Wyckoff from Cal, Brooks from Oklahoma State, Merriman from Texas Tech, I think they got better along the offensive line. Defensively,
Hold on. They got way better on the offense just by getting Slade Nagel back next to Willie Fritz. Too.
Yep. And I mean, I liked the Armstrong struggled at Florida, but I like him as a coordinator. Still a lot of nickel disguise. Needs some really good defensive ends in his scheme. From a defensive line perspective, I like both of the guys they brought in from Wazoo and FIU. So they did lose some guys up front, but I think they'll still be okay from a defensive front and linebacker perspective. I like some of the linebackers they brought in, some Tulane guys that used to be at Tulane. They get some guys back from injury. The secondary is my biggest concern. Man, I would have really loved this team if Halsey and Wilson stayed, but they left for LSU and FSU, respectively. You could be starting, I don't know, it looks like this Sacramento State transfer it's like running with the ones at corner. They really got to figure out this secondary. That's my biggest question on this team. And then Wegman, how good is he? Apparently, looks better, is focused. We'll see. But this Slade Nagel, back to running the ball. This is Willie Fritz, inside-out philosophy. The O-line is huge. They average like 6'5", 315. So, and they portal, number 3 class in the Big 12. Fritz is a program builder.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it at JUCO. He's done it at D2. He's done it at FCS. He's done it at the Group of 5 level.
Multiple Group of 5s.
Yep. Now he's doing it here. He's building in state. He's developing. From a scheduling perspective, 5 at home. They avoid Utah, Kansas State, and Iowa State. Their road games, Oak State, UCF, Baylor, Arizona State. Mixed bag. But you look at the year twos, for going back to 93, for Fritz, who always took over like bad programs. 9-2 at Blinn College. Year 2 at Central Missouri, 8-3. Year 2 at Sam Houston, 14-1. Lost in the championship. That was when they were FCS. Georgia Southern, year 1, 9-3. Year 2, 8-4. Tulane took them till year 3, till they got to bowl eligibility. But there's a lot of history that says that Fritz is going to turn this around. Is it this year? Is it next year?
Well, his second year was also the pandemic. Because next year they went 12-2, so it doesn't count, right? His second year was 2020 at Tulane. It doesn't count.
I think wasn't he started at Tulane like 2016, 17, I think. That could be wrong.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at Houston. Sorry. Go ahead.
So I like Fritz. They're in my mix at a 35-1. The path is Wegman hits. Unlocks the offense. Nagel, this run first. I think the offensive line improved. And then the secondary comes together. This is a much more experienced team than last year. They go from like top the national average to like top 30-ish. I can see it. Secondary is what I'm worried about. But yeah, like you start off let me say that again. You start off with a win, Stephen F. Austin, then you're at Rice, home against Colorado, then a bye. So you got some time, I think, to figure some things out. Then you're at Oregon State, you host Texas Tech, huge game at Oak State. Like they can get off to a good start here, get some momentum rolling. Obviously at Arizona State, at Baylor in the second half of the year won't be easy. But I think Houston might be worth a look as a flyer. What say you?
Well, I'll start off on the offense. Slade Nagel coming in, that's what these guys do. They build programs and they make players like Connor Wegman look pretty good. 17 big-time throws, 21 turnover-worthy plays in 3 years at Texas A&M. Just didn't work out for Connor Wegman, nor did it work out for Zach Calzada. Calzada goes into our incarnate word, just reinvents himself. Can the same thing happen here? I think there's potential that the answer is yes. Slot wideout Amari Thomas that they got from UAB, 1.9 yards per route run. That's coming in. There's some weapons here. Running back Dean Connors, 3.5 yards after first contact at Rice last year. That was 4.3 yards after first contact 2 years ago at Rice. I think they've got, I wouldn't say, the best pieces in every position compared to their peers inside the Big 12, but they have players that fit in Fritz and Nagel's system.
Yeah, Wegman has like talent and upside. Like,
yeah,
can you unlock it? I'm not the biggest Wegman fan, but like at least it will be better than last year. Last year the quarterback position was a disaster.
Yeah, well, yeah, but he was one of the most highly recruited guys coming out. So I know he's got the ability, but maybe Texas A&M just has never been Jimbo, anyone, Elko. No one's ever been able to unlock that. So we'll see how that goes. On the defensive side, Austin Armstrong, like his numbers were really good on the G5 level, and then maybe it's just impossible to be a defensive coordinator at Florida. We'll get to Todd Grantham here later. But he always calls heavy blitz packages to generate havoc. Houston was 126 in pass rush last year, so I expect that to improve. All the linebackers that got injured in 2024, they all return. I mean, there's a heavy amount of I got hurt, I didn't play the rest of the year, and now they're kind of overloaded with guys that are a year older and probably hungry to play. And defensive line adds Eddie Wells, 40 pressures, 30 quarterback hurries at FIU last year. Previously, before that, he was doing the same thing for Bethune-Cookman. So this kid is just moving on up the ladder of college football now, finding his way into Houston. I think Houston can start 4-0. Stuck made the case for the first 3 games. You can win that Colorado game at home, but after that, you're going into a bye week and you're facing Oregon State, who is directly off the Civil War. That's a good spot. That's a good spot. Oregon State will, yes, be at home in Corvallis, but they will be flat as hell. Road travel and conference to Oklahoma State and UCF, you can't really ask for a better road slate in the Big 12 than that. Do I think at 35-1, I'd want to nip on Houston a little bit? If Weigman hits,
they can be in the mix.
I'm telling you, Willie Fritz has done this for us before, and we do not ever fade Willie Fritz. I mean, I took over 3.5 last year for a win total. That got smoked. I believe in Willie Fritz. I am taking over 6.5. Plus 110 that's out there right now. I actually make this just a little bit over 6. So it's not that it's, the way that it's being priced in the market right now is more like 6.35. But to me, the schedule lines up, and I truly think this team is going to start 4-0. That Oregon State spot is juicy as hell with the Civil War being the week before.
Yeah, I project 6.7. I'm high on this team, higher than the market. So they're in the running for my long shot. Let's move on to a team that is not in the running for me, and that's UCF. Complete reset. They lost. They take 3 returning starters. That's it. They could start 8 to 9 transfers on offense, 7 to 8 on defense. They lost 16 starters either to the NFL or Power 4. 7 to the NFL. Your running back, Harvey, was a stud. 2 receivers, an offensive lineman, a defensive lineman. 2 corners. Both your corners go to the NFL. And then 9 to better teams in Power 4. Another receiver, a tight end, 3 offensive linemen, 2 defensive linemen, a linebacker, another corner. 70 new players for Scott Frost. This is a complete reset. They are 93rd in returning production. That's dead last in the Big 12. There's a 3-way competition at quarterback. Brown, who got 2 starts last year, the former Miami guy. Cam Fancher is in the mix still. If he starts, I'm going under. You're telling me Cam Fancher is going to be the quarterback, and then your defensive coordinator is Alex Grinch?
How?
Jackson from Indiana, I think, is the best option. But Frost said they might play multiple quarterbacks. It's still a battle. We'll see.
Curry Brown's going to get in there and lose his job after 1 snap.
If it's Fancher, I'm going under. They're super inexperienced at wide receiver. Offensive line, they bring in a bunch of guys who I don't love. They're going to really struggle to run block, in my opinion, and I just don't think they have the passing game to make up for it. Scott Frost is going to go as fast as usual. I don't know, but that's what he's known for. Yeah, their defensive line should be good. Like UCF's had a good defensive line for the last couple of years, even though they lost Barber to the NFL and Hunter. We just talked about the Texas Tech. Definitely a step back. You lose all your linebackers. Your secondary, you lost 3 corners to the NFL, or 2 to the NFL, 1 to USC. Like you bring in some guys I actually like Dunham at safety from FAU, Bellamy for Cuse, I think is decent. Bell from Memphis, Reed at Brown. He was really good at Brown. We'll see how he translates. Yeah. But so I like some of the ads on the back end of the defense, but this is a full reset.
Yep.
Easy non-con. You got Jack State, NC-A&T, bye, then UNC at home. So good chance to start 3-0. We'll see how good UNC is. But your road games on the Big 12, Kansas State, Cincy, Baylor, Texas Tech, BYU, late in the year. You're probably going 0-5 in the Big 12 on the road. So you're at the bounce house. They've been good at the bounce house. You have 7 winnable games at home. Jack State, NC-A&T, UNC, Kansas, West Virginia, Houston, Oak State. What are all those teams? Jack State, UNC, Kansas, West Virginia, Oak State, all resetting teams.
Yeah.
They're all, can they go 6-1 in those games? I don't know. It's going to depend on, like, what is West Virginia? What is Oklahoma State? What is UCF themselves? What is UNC? So I don't know. The best number you can find out there is 80-1. Win total, you can go over 5 minus 145 or over 5.5 plus 110. I project 5.3-ish, lean under. A lot of uncertainty here. Can you make a case for UCF?
Well, I can make a case to go under. I mean, Alex Grinch is your defensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
I mean, things have gotten worse everywhere that he has been. If Cam Fancher is named the quarterback, you're right. The under has to happen right away. Every wide receiver has departed. Miles Montgomery's taken over for R.J. Harvey. He just has a modest 3.5 yards after first contact. Nothing real flashy in there. I mean, R.J. Harvey is a monster loss. Nigel Kelly and Malachi Lawrence returned 10 sacks, so that's good on the defense, but the portal supplies the entire linebacker group. The secondary is light on talent, and they're going to try to defend Big 12 attacks. Now, most of the ones that you just named out are all rushing attacks. I think they're, a little bit on the edge. They're good at creating pressure, but from a run defense perspective, I think we're going to have some problems here. So there's nothing – a big gotcha in the schedule. They're going to start off 2-0 because Jacksonville State is going to be putrid with Charles Kelly. NCAA, there should be no sweat there. And that's my problem is if I want to take under 5.5 here, I could easily be looking at 2-0 here with this team starting off. And, now I'm fighting for my life in all these coin flip games and then everybody that are just
There's a ton of uncertainty, like with a lot of these teams.
Like, I think – what version of Scott Frost are we getting as a coach? I think that's what needs to be asked, because if I get the Nebraska version, then I have no problems with Rich Rod coming in and out-coaching him. I have no problems with Lance Leipold coming in and out-coaching Willie Fritz.
Belichick.
And Belichick. Like, right, look at the list of just blindly put the coaches on paper from this schedule. And tell me if you're getting Scott Frost from the UCF days of going from an 0-12 team to 6-7 and 12-0, or if you're getting the Nebraska days where just the smallest things, third downs and special teams and everything else was an absolute obliterated dumpster fire. And the most important thing that was going on was the bar across the street from the stadium. Like, which Scott Frost are we getting? So that's hard to answer. But I can tell you this, the list of coaches on, even Scott Satterfield, even the list of coaches, when you just look at the games heads up, I take the other coach.
Yeah, it's under nothing for me on UCF. No interest in them as a flyer. Let's move on to Colorado. Colorado, best number you can find out there to win the conference, 33-1.
Are you serious?
What's that?
They have a better number than Houston?
Yeah, as far as best numbers. Over 5.5, minus 110 is the best you can find. The numbers come way down. One of my regrets earlier this summer is not betting them under. I project 5.7. So like now I can't go under 5.5. But there's a lot of questions on this team, obviously, because they lose a quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, who everyone saw in the preseason starting for the Browns, and 4 receivers to the NFL, including Travis Hunter, who you obviously lose on defense as well. But even guys like Wester, who returned, he was returning punts for a touchdown in his first game in the preseason. But Shepard and Horner gone. Wide receivers still have talent. Miller and Miller are back. You got Williams from Tulsa, I like. Williams from Florida State. Brown from Campbell is an interesting name.
Yep.
He had over 1,000 yards last year. So there's still talent there. Offensive line, I think, could be better because you bring back Jordan Seaton, your left tackle is going to be a future pro. There's 2 guards who come back and another tackle, but they might not even start. So, like, you bring in Hill from Memphis, who's going to be at left guard. That's an upgrade. Your center position, you probably upgraded it. Your right guard and right tackle, there's a battle at right tackle. Your right guard's a major question mark. You bring in a kid from Illinois who was just terrible.
Right.
I don't see that. But right side of the offensive line, big question for me. But the offense it's going to be more run heavy. It's probably going to be Caden Salter, although Juju Lewis, the 17-year-old, is he in the mix? He's going to get packages. We'll see. They want to run the ball more. They want to use more tight ends. It's going to be a completely different offense from last year. Last year, the strength of this team was passing the ball. Well, you lose a quarterback and 4 receivers to the NFL. They're making a giant shift here. Last year, Sanders threw for 5,200 yards, 27 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. The team ran for 2.5 yards per carry and gave up 43 sacks. It was the passing offense. That's who this team was last year. It won't be this year. It'll be different. Defensively, good defensive line rotation. Even though you lose a couple guys to the NFL, they're still deep there. Linebacker, I think the key to the defense, their defense, is the 2 group of 5 linebackers they brought in, Hughes and French. That's the key. Can they step up at this level? Defensive backfield, you obviously lost Hunter, you lost Sanders, and Silman Craig, 3 guys to the NFL. But McKinney's back, he's good. Stoutmeier's back at safety, he's good. Byard from USF, I like him. He'll start at safety, he's good. Comes down to that second corner spot, in my opinion. Rook Davis and Nickel from Wyoming you bring in, so you bring in Tennessee guys. So there's some talent in this defense, and I like Livingston, the defensive coordinator. He's done really good work at Colorado. I think he was kind of a lot, maybe deserves more credit for what he did with Cincy instead of Vanaruma, but he's done some good work there. So this team has some pieces. It's all going to come down to how can this offense operate as a completely different entity under presumably Salter or maybe Lewis. They do play 6 of the top 8 teams in the Big 12. They avoid Texas Tech and Baylor. They get Iowa State and Arizona State at home. Their Big 12 road games, you have 5 of them. They only have 4 Big 12 home games. Houston, TCU, Utah, West Virginia, and Kansas State. I see like 1 and 4 at best there. So at West Virginia late in the year, how big of a mess is West Virginia? Are they worn down? That's a big swing. Georgia Tech week 1, they're dogs, but it's in Colorado. It's a home game. That's a huge swing game, I think, for their season.
Faulkner versus Robert Lewis. That's pretty good.
Yeah, great coordinator battle. But this team loses a lot. The D was good. I mean, the D led the Big 12 in sacks and tackles for loss last year. They can still be solid if the G5 linebackers hit and a second corner emerges. But it's going to be a completely different looking offense. I think people have gotten a little bit too low now in Colorado, like 5.5 even money. Do you trust in Dion to get them to a bowl this year? I mean, last year, look, they were pretty lucky. They beat North Dakota State barely, Colorado State, Baylor on a Hail Mary. And then UCF was a disaster. Arizona State was a disaster. Cincy, Texas Tech, that was a good win. Utah was a disaster. Oak State was a disaster. Like they played all the teams that had disastrous years, and they were plus 12 in turnovers. It's definitely going to be a harder route. There's not as much talent on this team. What are you seeing with Colorado?
I think the offensive line is going to fall back to Dion's first year, 2023, when they had all those I shouldn't say it's that bad. They had a bunch of 5'9" guys from Kent State in there on Sean Lewis's offensive line, but I don't think it's going to be as efficient. And I think we're going to see Caden Salter on the run a lot. In his career, 56 passing and 21 TDs, only 4. What is he? I mean, he's more careful with the ball than, say, a Cam Ward. And Caden Salter can be a game changer here. But
yeah, and you can use his legs. That's not Sanders' strong suit. So if you want to run the ball now you have a running quarterback. So that does.
Yeah, that matches, I think, what's going to happen with there's some spots in this offensive line. I think Caden Salter and frankly, that was a lot of their offense 2 years ago. Shedeur is just flush him out of the pocket and let him find someone deep. Well, the difference is Caden Salter can take off down the field. He probably got a little bit more beef on him and it can take a hit. But freshman Juju Lewis is going to get some playing time at some point, but the running backs really bother me here. And that's what makes me think this is 2023 version when it was just dump offs to Dylan Edwards, because you didn't have any running backs. You had no offensive line that could block and they couldn't get through. But if you look at these running backs, Dallin Hayden and Michael Welch in the backfield, those running backs combined had 108 carries and they forced 15 missed tackles. That's horrible. Like, you can force a missed tackle just by tying your shoes. Like, I don't even understand. Like, there's no flash in these running backs whatsoever. It makes me think, like, if I was playing college fantasy football, I think Caden Salter would be such a huge pickup for rushing yards on a quarterback. So we'll see how that goes there. I love the defense. I'm glad you mentioned Robert Livingston. You and I have been on him since he came in from the NFL. He's really turned this around last year for Colorado. If you look at him, 13th in havoc, 15th in defensive passing success rate. They finished 21st overall in defensive finishing drives. That's just not like we have Travis Hunter. That is we know exactly how to behave when teams get past the 40-yard line. I mean, the numbers are really well from a defensive standpoint. I expect that to kind of continue, even though he's lost 6 of his top 8 tacklers. Travis Hunter not being there, does that, put some pressure on safety? Carter Stoutmeyer, corner DJ McKinney, they returned 16 PBUs.
Yeah, they just got to find another corner. They got to find that second corner.
And the linebackers really scare me. They're all JUCO. I mean, that's not
G5, French and
that's right.
They're coming up from the G5 level. French
right.
and
second team American. Yeah, I see. Yeah, so they're making their ways up too. So there's a lot of transition. I believe in Robert Livesey's coaching, but then again, Stuck, like, is Dion going to be there the whole season? Like, I mean, we're having medical issues here. I'm not sure they're all completely cleaned up. Like, does he have a clean bill of health to continue to coach throughout the entire season? I think that $30 million contract is pretty solid. Where is the team at if Deion Sanders isn't there? And is he now just a tool for recruiting now that his sons have moved on and Travis Hunter's moved on? His entire, FCS crew that he brought over with him, they're gone. So what is this team from a leadership standpoint now? I guess it's not something you can put into an Excel sheet and put out into a number. As far as, the schedule goes, you're right. 5 Big 12 games that come off some of the best secondaries in the league. So that's kind of bad for Caden Salter. Because, I mean, if you look at unit rankings in the conference, Houston, BYU, TCU, Iowa State, Utah, these are not secondaries I'm trying to get something past at all. We haven't even talked about BYU yet. I mean, I'm not going up against Jay Hill's defensive back 7. So I don't like what this offense is going to be. And I don't like the schedule of secondaries and defensive back 7s that they're going to face. I have targeted under 3.5 Big 12 wins. A lot of that is based upon the schedule. Like I said, there are 5 teams with 5 back 7s. I don't think they can beat it all. That means there's only 4 possible other games I think that they can win, and I don't think they can win all 4 of those. So I'm going to go under conference 3.5 wins. It's plus money, I believe.
But getting back to what we were talking about before with the Big 12 defenses in episode 1, like this, everyone's going 3-5. We want to try to stop spread. Maybe going to like complete run heavy, more tight ends against the schedule, and maybe that could be beneficial. But yeah,
but their running backs can't cook. I mean, that's not Abu Sama. I mean, these guys can't create a missed tackle.
Maybe Taylor, the incarnate word transfer, can be a guy. I mean, I think it's come down maybe a little bit too much, but I don't mind that look. All right, let's move on to Oklahoma State.
Ooh.
Another team, complete reset, 3-9 year. Everything. One of the most. What happened to this team? They were so experienced, and it just all went to shit. I mean, the offensive line loses 8 guys who combined for 264 starts. The offensive line. They have 3 offensive line coaches now. I mean, everything's new here. There's new coordinators, 3 new offensive line coaches. They could start 9 transfers on defense. The offensive linemen they brought in, by the way, I don't understand any of them. Like, they were all bad at their previous stops and like all lower levels. But I guess, could it be worse than last year? I don't know. They lost a couple to the NFL. You lose Gordon to the NFL, but he was a disaster. They couldn't block. I mean, what happened here last year?
Right.
Quarterback, they're all new. Flores or Haney, the TCU kid, he's a little bit more dual threat. They're both young. They never started a game. They both could play in the opener. Remember, Gundy did that in 2023. He played a bunch of quarterbacks early, settled on, what's his name? Who was the guy who was there forever?
His kid.
No, yeah, he was playing too. But who was the guy last year who started? Who's been around?
Alan Bowman?
Bowman. Then he settled on Bowman. Then they ended up winning 10 games. So, but all new on offense. The wide receivers, they had 9 career starts now after losing Stribling, Presley, and Owens. Reset. Defense, complete reset, although there's a couple more guys back. The most experienced guy on offense coming back is their tight end Ford, who started 6 games. That's it. Defense, you have 3 returning starters. But their safety, I mean, their Smiths who come back probably won't start. So you may probably only have like 1 returning starter. Their secondary, I mean, if they start, their secondary was a disaster last year. Their defense was a disaster, 500 yards per game. So we'll see if some of the portal additions, who I don't love, can help. There was injuries at linebacker, which really hurt them last year, but we'll see. This roster's in rough shape, to say the least. I don't know how much longer Gundy's going to be there. 90th in returning production. New to DC, Todd Grantham, I don't love. He was at the Saints recently. 3-4 blitzing style. They bring in Doug Meacham from TCU, air raid guy. They're going to throw a ton this year. That's all I've been hearing. They're going to throw a ton. But do they have the receivers? Do they have the offensive line? Do they have the quarterback? I don't know. I mean, you might as well just play aggressive on D, and we'll see. Gundy had his 18-year bowl streak snapped last year. He's in year 21. Win total, best you could find out there, over 5.5 plus 160. So they're sizable dogs to get back to a bowl. Best you can find out there to win, 65-1. Brutal finish to the schedule, which is terrible for a team that's resetting. At Texas Tech, at Kansas State, at UCF, Iowa State to finish. Their road games aren't terrible. Like, they get UCF, Kansas, Arizona, and Texas Tech in 5 Big 12 home games. Probably beat UT Martin and Tulsa at home. They're going to lose to Oregon, so you're going to start 2-1 most likely. Can they find 4 wins in league play? I project 4.6. No interest in going over. Like, I don't. This is a complete reset. I can't make a case as a long shot either. What are you seeing with the Pokes?
I'm in the 3s. Like, I this is an underplay. It's heavily juiced minus 170. Wait for those alt lines to come out, or wait for someone to post a 4 or a 3.5. There's, not to throw too much hate here, but it's. Let me pull back. Let's not go. I don't want to go through the roster and say I graded all the offensive linemen. I want to go from a different angle here with Oklahoma State. I'm standing at Big 12 Media Days talking to Ollie Gordon, who's apologizing for driving with open containers of vodka and whiskey or whatever the hell else it was. And I said, what was it that flipped last year that made you such a great running back? And he said, it's because we changed our entire offensive philosophy to go from man blocking to zone. And the second we did that, and it happened during the bye week, their first 3 games, you never even really, Ollie Gordon wasn't really anything. And then he took off because they changed their entire offensive run blocking scheme right up to the bye week because it just wasn't working. Gundy went in and just changed everything, rewired everything. Now on the offensive side of the ball, we're going to go back and get Meacham, who was here from 05 to 12, the same time Gundy showed up. And I feel like Gundy is on his last card, his last Uno card in the deck. Like, this is it. There's no other place to turn to try to find an offensive identity. He has rewired offensive blocking schemes in the middle of the seasons, in the middle of weeks for multiple years now. Now, from a defensive coordinator perspective, ever since Jim Knowles left, it's getting worse and watered down and worse to where we're getting D2 Gannon. It was a D2 or D3. I don't know where Gannon is. It's like, is that like Zelda? I don't know where Gannon University is. Sorry for everybody out there from Gannon that is listening. That was a nickel-based defense. Gundy was always going to have a nickel-based defense. And no matter what coordinator came in here, we're running nickel-based defense. Grantham's running his 3-4? Like, you don't have the personnel to run a 3-4. Like, you don't have the names in here. They weren't even brought here to. We have seniors in this 2-deep depth chart. Your program's never run a 3-4. That's the thing that gets me. We're rewiring man blocking and zone blocking in the middle of the season for multiple years now. And we're also now rewiring our defensive personnel and our defensive schemes. I mean, we are literally just shooting in the dark from the hip.
Like, this is a desperation move.
This is all fucking firebomb Hail Marys. I'm telling you that, and I'm going under. I don't care what the number. I mean, maybe I look like a clown. Maybe he gets 6 wins, 7 wins, whatever. And he says, I had you guys the whole time, and I knew who my quarterback was going to be, and whatever. I don't care. But you can't rewire your personnel and your schemes in the middle of the season all the time and get away with it. And that's a part of this downfall too. Is that Gundy just can't stay solid with what their identity is. Under.
I project 2.8 league wins.
I project like 2.8 total wins. I make the UT Martin game like 23. Is there even a line on that right now? I doubt there is, but like, that's the Skyhawks plus 23.
I have not got to my. By the way, I'm trying to see. Well, Kent State. I can't wait to see the Kent State Merrimack line. We'll talk East, but I think last year it might have been like a pick at Kent State. I don't know. I haven't done my Merrimack work, to be honest. But
how much our listeners love you dribbling in the trash segment into these preseason pods. Like how quickly we're getting there.
Get them somehow. All right, let's move on to BYU. BYU best number you can find out there, 27-1. If you want to go under 6.5 plus 110 is out there. This under is taking money after the Retzlaff news. I think it was like 8.5 originally. Now it's 7.5 and 6.5. But Retzlaff, he obviously left.
He wasn't good.
Off-season scandal. He wasn't that great. Like, I had him worth like 3 points, and if I and part of that is because of who's behind him. It's not great. And so if I downgrade BYU 3 points, like it's only like 0.75. It's like 3/4 of a win. So I don't know. I mean, I do project them at 6.7. So I was lower on them than the market originally. I was thinking about the under, and then I should have hit it. I knew that Retzlaff wasn't going to come back because there was nothing he could do. He either admits that you just had consensual sex and you're out, or there was a scandal and you're out. But the options behind him aren't great. I think the most intriguing one, like Bourget, Hillstead, and they have experience, but they're not any good. The most intriguing name is Backmeyer, who was the early enrollee freshman who transferred from Stanford. His brother also came in at wide receiver, Tiger Backmeyer. So that would be an interesting if that's the connection. We'll see. It's a quarterback battle right now. It's probably going to be for a bit. Running backs, you're okay, although there's some depth questions. They're trying to get Ropati back and eligible. Wide receivers, it hurt. The spring it hurt because you lost Lassiter to the NFL, then you lost Marion to Miami. Roberts is back. You had Backmeyer. You had Ryan at tight end from Utah. I'm a little worried about the offensive line. Like Gentry was hurt in the spring. He comes over from Michigan at tackle. Jada's going to take over the other tackle. He started 3 last year. We'll see how they come together, but there's some moving pieces on the offensive line. The D last year was so good, so underrated last year. I mean, the D was the story, in my opinion, of the BYU season. The front seven still should be solid, even though they lost some dudes. The secondary, you lose a lot. I think it's going to be potentially a big drop. We'll see. They were the number 1 pass D last year. 13 touchdowns allowed, 22 interceptions. They had the most interceptions in FBS. They lose Robinson at corner to the NFL. They lose Collins. They lose their safety. There's only 6 career starts at cornerback now. They need the depth to step up. They had some guys who showed some flashes last year, but we'll see. Their special teams were elite last year. They're all back except Marion, who will be missed as a kick returner. You got to give Jay Hill a lot of credit. Year 2 was great. This is Sataki year 10. Offensive coordinator, Roderick year 5. So a lot of coaching continuity. But Jay Hill, he's got some work to do. He loses his entire D-line. He lost Taggart at linebacker. He lost both cornerbacks that were really good. I still think the front seven will be good. Questions about that secondary. And then obviously quarterback. Scheduling, easy non-con, but only 4 Big 12 home games. One of them is against Utah, who's salivating after last year. Big 12 road games, not bad. Colorado, Arizona, Iowa State, Texas Tech, Cincy. Not terrible. But the other thing, because I'm worried about the BYU secondary and their losses, I look and I say, who are the passing offenses that could really hurt them?
Right.
And it's really only Texas Tech and TCU, like that I'm really scared about on that schedule. Who else really scares you? And that's late in the year. After a bye, you play both those teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I project 6-7. I just don't think they have the quarterback play to win this league. So they're not in the running for me. Like Houston, you could say Wegman hits his peak. Bachmeier has the most potential. He's still way too young. So I don't think that they have the quarterback play that could win this league. So they're out of it from a long shot perspective for me. Right. And yeah, I mean, there's some regression flashers going off after last year, but They won a lot. They won their close games, and Stuckey historically has been a little questionable in his decision making in those close games, but they were good in those last year. What are you seeing with the Cougs?
I love the Cougs. We didn't like Jake Retzloff. We were not Jake Retzloff fans, and because he made too many mistakes. I know everyone sees the TD to INT numbers and they think, "Wow, he's great."
He was such boom or bust. Like
Yeah.
and he got away with some throws last year.
Took way too many shots. 12 to 18 big time throws, turnover worthy plays. He was just a mistake waiting to happen. McKay Hillstead, Burgo. I mean, there's not a lot back here. So I don't know what the offense becomes. LJ Martin, 3.5 yards after first contact. He created 38 missed tackles. The offensive line has at least half a season of experience, but they were 63rd in havoc allowed last year. So no matter who the new quarterback is, there's going to be some pressure. I think we're also missing another part here. Retzlaff was the second leading rusher too. He had over 500 yards on the ground. I mean, that to me was more valuable to the offense than his mistake-prone arm. So I think we'll be searching for an identity here. The identity of this team was the day that Kalani Sitake decided to hire Jay Hill, coming in from Weber State, right? One of the best defensive minds in FCS level. Really turned it around for BYU last year. And Sitake was going to get fired. Literally. That defense had him pink slips floating around. Jay Hill comes in, cleans that up. Last year they finished 44th in havoc, 26th in defensive passing success rate. They could get better against the run, and they could produce a little bit more of a pass rush. But at the same time, two big secondary pieces have graduated, so we're going to have new faces there. They too have linebackers, Kellyanne and Glazer. They're going to provide one of the best units in the conference, and both have new edge positions. And this is where I get worried about Jay Hill's defense because I'm looking for ways to go over. I'm at 6.6. I want to go over, but the edge positions listed 235 and 255 pounds. That's not going to work. You're going to get dinged by an offensive tackle at Kansas State and get flown down the field. That weight does not work for me at an edge position. So they have to get beefier there. So that kind of kept me
a big loss there.
Yeah. I went to you said the Big 12 home games, 4 of them. There's bye weeks before ECU and Texas Tech travel. So at least you get some rest before you travel. But like I said before in episode part 1, that is a horrible spot against Iowa State. Like you're going to play the Holy War, and then you're going to go to Ames. People don't like going to Ames anyways, all right? And then you're going to play the Holy War and go. So I can't I want to go overstuck. I can't. My number makes it 6.6. It's at 6.5. Maybe I find spots to bet BYU, but I need an offensive identity, and I need to see pressure from the edges, and I need to see the Jay Hill system works with this turnover at the critical positions.
Yeah, I'm at 6.6 as well. Nothing for me. Let's move on to Cincinnati. Last year, they should have been better. There was injuries, defensive line. Injuries before the year started with Coleman and Hunt, who come back. You had Corleone, the Godfather. He's back at nose tackle, one of the best defenders in the conference.
Clean bill of health as of this podcast.
Yeah, we'll see if he can stay healthy. We hope he does with the blood clot issue. So the D had a ton of it. They need to find a pass rush. That's the key. They had some McCray from Vatech, White McLean from ODU to try to up the pass rush from the edge. But that getting Coleman back could help. Hunt's back. So the defensive line, I think, takes a step up. Your linebacker, you lose your all Big 12 guy in Bartlett, but still a decent room. So I think their front seven is fine. The secondary is the question for me. You lose a lot, and they've lost a lot over the years. You lose two more guys to the NFL. You basically lose everyone. Peak is back at safety. I like McDoom. Great name for a corner. They bring in him from Coastal. I think he'll have one of the cornerback spots locked up. But the rest, a bunch of transfers come in. We'll see how it comes together. I will say, this team, they lost a ton of close games, but maybe that's a trend with Satterfield. I don't think Satterfield's a good coach. They were 1-4, one-possession games. Like, that's becoming a trend. Like, their second halves have been disastrous. Part of that was special teams. Special teams cost them a couple games last year. They finally fired Kerry Coombs. I don't know how many times they're going to come out here and trash Kerry Coombs, who was also, what else was he? The cornerback coach. And the cornerbacks had all kinds of blown assignments last year. Their special teams were a disaster. Shocker, it didn't work out with Kerry Coombs again. Is he hired anywhere else? There's no way he has another job. Let's see.
What are you on LinkedIn?
No.
Does he have a resume out there?
He is unemployed. Remember, I was yelling the DC for Ohio State. I thought it was an asinine hire, almost as bad as Patricia. Anyway, so special teams could improve under a new coach. That's alone, but secondary is my concern on defense. The offense, they lose a lot. You lose your star back to the NFL. You lose your top 6 receivers, but the receivers weren't great last year.
Right.
And then you lose 4 offensive linemen. I am concerned there because 3 of them are sitting on NFL rosters, and their offensive line has been underrated the past couple of years. You're going to have a brand new left side without much experience. You're going to have a MAC right guard and right tackle. Your center's very good, which is a good starting point, but I don't know. I mean, this kid Cotton from South Dakota, your left tackle, he is like pro. Some people like him as a next level guy. He's got to be good. But offensive line, I'm worried about. Tight end room, very good. Running back room, still very good, even though they lost Kiner. Wide receivers, it's transfer heavy. I don't really love the room. Some lower level guys like Cyrus Allen, he's been around forever. Henderson and Mays are back, Henderson and Mays are gone. And then you lost Johnson to Miami. I didn't love the wide receiver room, but I don't love who they brought in. Maybe this kid Caldwell, I'm hearing hype about him from Lindenwood, can be the guy. But Brendan Sorsby, do you like him or not? I personally don't. Some people love him. He had 18 touchdowns, 7 interceptions last year, but 9 big-time throws, 13 turnover-worthy plays. He can't throw it deep. This team had no explosiveness last year. They were bottom 10 in pass explosiveness. He threw a deep ball on less than 10% of his throws, which was bottom 5. And he only had a 28% adjusted completion percentage, which was also bottom 5 among 150 quarterbacks. I don't see it with there's some flashes with Sorsby, but with this offensive line now taking a big step back, I don't really love the wide receiver room. The running game still should be decent. There's lots of outside zone that you're going to see. They add Tyree Walker from Wisconsin. Pryor's back. Still a good
He's not good.
Who? You don't like Walker?
Tyree Walker's not good.
I like Pryor. Walker's decent. He can get you some tough yards. He's a good change of pace back. Just get you those, grind out some yards. But I don't know. I don't really see it. This might be it for Satterfield. They are much more experienced. They were bottom 20 experience last year. They're top 25 now. Special teams could improve, but the O-line, the wide receivers, the defensive backfield concern me. Sorsby just got to be more consistent. A healthier defensive line, in theory, they get more pressure. That'll help the secondary. That's one path of this defense being better. It is year 2 of the 3-3-5 transition. You have the Iowa State, the Iowa State clone experiment going on here. You get 5 Big 12 home games. You draw 4 of the bottom 5. From a scheduling perspective, I like it. I like the structure of it, right? You get a bye before at Kansas. You get a late bye before your final 3. Every game on the schedule is winnable. I'll say that. There's no guaranteed losses. Even they start with Nebraska on a neutral, it's a touchdown underdog. I'll say they don't win at they don't win at TCU. They don't win at Utah. But those are late in the year. There could be injuries with those teams. Who knows? You avoid Arizona State. You avoid Texas Tech. You avoid Kansas State. You host Baylor. You host Iowa State. You get BYU, who's not as good without Retzlaff. So, you have UCF on the schedule. There's some wins here.
Yep.
Can I make the case as them as a long shot at 35-1? I would hate it if you did. They're not for me. Yeah, Satterfield, not for me.
There's a group of sharps that love Cincinnati a lot, but they keep on making mistakes in fourth quarters that are costing covers.
Yeah, I can't get. I project 6.5, so I actually lean over. But do I trust Satterfield? No,
you don't. I don't either. But I make it 7.3, and I'm going over 6.5 plus 124 out at FanDuel, and I don't like Sorsby either, and this is why this podcast focused on other things than TDs and INTs. He was 9 to 13 in big time throws, turnover worthy plays. Now all he's got, he lost 4 of his top 5 targets. The one he keeps around is his tight end Joe Royer. There's only so many times he had 50 catches last year. There's only so many times you're gonna be able to hit him before a tight end is double teamed. I don't know how you get the ball to him now that you've lost everything. Tawee Walker, like no matter where he's been, Oklahoma or Wisconsin, it's been just below 3 yards after first contact. So can he move piles? Sure. But the problem is he's not creating any highlight yards. He needs a good offensive line to create line yards because he cannot create highlight yards himself. The offensive line, I saw South Dakota in there. I see Albany in there. We got some questions on this offensive line. We'll have to get some of those answered. They're big, though. I mean, there's some size on some of these guys coming in. I mean, you don't see anybody listed at 290.
Yeah, the kid Cotton from South Dakota, he's a pro prospect. He's got a hit.
6'7", 315. That's a big boy.
Yeah, he's got a hit because they lost 3 to the NFL. And their offensive line's been very underrated the last 2 years.
I think Dante Corleone back at nose. He's also like the captain, the clubhouse guy. Like he is the dude in the clubhouse in Cincinnati. So it's a really big deal that he's back. Now Matthew McDoom coming in, he's going to lock down some wide receivers at the corner position because he did that at Coastal. Like there was no tomorrow.
Yeah,
10 PBUs and 3 INTs last year, 7 PBUs for Coastal the year before that. So there are pieces on this defense that I like. And you mentioned it with the schedule. It's in a conference where everybody seems to be within 4 to 7 power rating points with each other. Somehow they've pulled it off and gotten a pretty good schedule. They're not going to face a single team coming off a bye week. I couldn't remember finding another schedule out there where no one comes off a bye week to face Cincinnati. That's a good thing. They get a bye before they go on the road to Kansas. They get a bye before they're at home against Arizona. They're going to need rest for those 2 games. Those are winnable games. Back-to-back travel on October 25th. The Baylor comes in, on back-to-back travel. That's good. It's just an advantageous for the schedule. I'm going over 6.5 plus 124. This is a team, Stuck, that we have bet on consistently on Saturdays. We've never bet them long-term because I think, is it just the way that Satterfield left Louisville, the way that Cincinnati has gone down, but at the same time, they've made mistakes.
They blow leads. They get out coached in the second half consistently. It's special teams mistakes, offensive dumb penalties.
Yeah.
And then their offensive line has been the one consistent force. If that takes a big step back, you got to improve in the other areas.
125th in the middle 8. I just saw it. Oh, my God. What are we doing, Saturday? 125th in the middle 8. Satterfield
is awful. That's it.
Maybe it's a 1-unit bet in the app. I don't know. I'm going over.
Let's close up with West Virginia. Like UCF and Oak State and Colorado to a certain extent, this is a complete reset. Like, what are they? 80th in returning production, which it's worse than that. There's 16 of the 22 players on their 2 deep on both offense and defense. 16 of the 22 are their 2 deep. Offense, defense, or transfers. This is a complete reset. They lose everyone. There's a quarterback battle going on. You have Markiel, who's back, who has played some. Max Brown is in the mix. I don't know how that happened. And then Jalen Henderson from Texas A&M. He's more the dual threat that I think fits better with this offense that Rich Rod wants to do.
Yeah.
Rich Rod back in Morgantown, zone read option, tempo, shotgun, a lot of RPO looks. It's got the same offensive coordinator there, but this is going to be a Rich Rod offense. Defense coordinator brings in Zach Alley, won a bidding war against Oklahoma for him. He was at Jack State with Rich Rod, then Oklahoma. I think he's up-and-comer in that department. Does a really good job up front with some of the things he does. Aggressive, like defense.
It's one of his top 9 tacklers back. Like there's a reason.
Rebuild. It's all transfers. Brand new offensive line. They've lost a lot of guys to the NFL over the past couple of years. It's all new. I think like when I look at their roster, running backs talented. Even though you lose Donaldson, you bring in Knighton, you get White back. Wide receiver, like you bring in Singleton. Vaughn is from Jack State. He knows this offense. He'll be the main guy, but like Singleton in the slot has some potential. There's some pieces. here. You bring in a tight end from Jack State. He's going to be like your blocker. Then you got Grayson Barnsley from NIU. He's going to be like your receiver. So there's some pieces to work with for Rich Rod.
The center right guard combo are small, though.
Yeah, the offensive line.
You're an inside zone with 295-pound center.
I was going there next. Like the offensive line, like you're the kid from Tulsa, you a right tackle from Arkansas, left tackle from Texas. The interior offensive line really does worry me. It's completely transfer reliant. Maybe a right guard from LSU is going to start. I don't know. We got to see how the offensive line comes together, but it's definitely worrisome. D, rebuild. It's all transfers, like I said. Jamori Robinson from UTSA. He's the star of the show. Off the edge. Linebacker. All brand new. I love the kid Purry at nickel from Jack State. Rest of the linebacker room is a question. Secondary, I don't care they lost. Their secondary was disastrous last year. Yep. Couldn't cover anybody. So who cares? Secondary should get better just because of the guys they got rid of. Now it's all transfers. Like I like the kid Coates from Nevada. I think him Chambers, like they're going to be better. So I think their secondary gets better. But there's a lot of uncertainty. It's all transfers. This team's brand new. You got new coordinators, new coach, new schemes. Do they have the right dual threat quarterback, and do they have the offensive line to make this offense work? They only have 4 Big 12 home games. Big 12 road, Kansas, BYU, UCF, Houston, Arizona State. That's not terrible, and there's a lot of uncertainty there. Like BYU with their quarterback, Kansas, brand new, UCF, brand new, Houston, still some uncertainty there, even though we like them. Non-con, they host Pitt. That's a huge hyped game. The backyard brawl. Rich Rod left town after losing in 2007. What was the score? It was like 13-9, I think. Something like that. But if West Virginia won that game, they go to the national championship. And they lost to Pitt. It was like 13-9. He leaves town. That is a huge game. But first, they got to go to Ohio first, who I think stinks this year. But like I have Ohio under, and I'm so
you're the Ohio whisperer now, right?
West Virginia not caring about that, like just not showing up, and I'm worried about that game. So we'll see. It's a tricky non-con.
I only make that game 6 points.
What?
I only make that game 6 points. West Virginia -6 on the road is what I make that. That's crazy.
I
had no clue I had it that close.
Let's see. I am adjusting for spot. Where am I? I mean, I'm super, super low on Ohio. Who, by the way, we were talking about this in the Mac pod. I make that 10. We were talking about this in the Mac pod that Rutgers is going to crush Ohio, but I got in on that. That line took off. Market has been fading Ohio heavily, but they did last year too. And Ohio proved me and others wrong. But West Virginia, if you want to believe in them, just the uncertainty of Rich Rod. Best you can find out there, 45-1. Win total over 5.5. The best number is plus 135. Among all the teams in the like long shot category, this would be the only one I would entertain. Like Zach Alley on defense, their secondary is going to get better. I think they were so bad last year. And then if Rich Rod just hits with his offense, they find the quarterback. It's Henderson or Markiel, and the offensive line somehow comes together. I think they have the skill position pieces to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. And all their road games are against, besides Arizona State, who you get the second to last game of the year. Like a lot of their road games are against teams with a ton of uncertainty. It's a tough home slate, but Morgantown, good home field advantage. You get BYU in Colorado. A lot of I don't know. It's a ton of uncertainty with this team, so that maybe just the 45-1 flyer. I mean, they were bad last year, and they were in it on the last weekend somehow. You can maybe convince me to put some couch change on West Virginia. What are you saying?
Well, the thing is, they're going to run a system that some teams are going to have problem with, right? And they do have a couple of running backs that can run that. I'm still interested in how that works with the offensive line. We'll see if it does. I think the one thing that comes to mind is that I'm at 4.9, so under 5.5, which is like minus 125, minus 130 in the market. It's pretty close to where I'm at. West Virginia is going to be.
I'm 5'6".
Yeah, West Virginia is going to be a spot play for me this year. And what I mean by that is they're going to play teams where Rich Rod is going to go with a top 5 tempo in the nation, and their defense, I don't think, is going to be able to stop anyone. And they're an over city. Now, Robert Morris, West Virginia, that total's not out. I'll be looking for it. Right now, there are backyard brawl. There are Pitt, West Virginia lines out, and some books have totals out on week 3, but they don't have that total out. What do I make that one? 59. So I'm looking to play West Virginia overs during the year. I think when the Robert Morris one comes out, it might be a while before we get that. I think over will be the play immediately out of the chute. And then also circle your calendars for September 20th. That is a horrific game coming off the brawl, going to Kansas, who's off of a bye week. You're giving one of the best coaches in the conference 2 weeks to prepare for you. That is horrible. So I would keep my eyes on overs and that September 20th game going to Kansas. Other than that, I don't have enough of an edge to play an under. I don't like, Rich Rod was hot from day one down at Jacksonville State. He can run a system, it could be tough for some defensive coordinators. So I definitely like overs in their games, and I'm not fading Rich Rod, but I will when they play Kansas.
Well, I don't sleep on Zach Alley, the DC. Their secondary improving. It was just so bad last year. I show value in the over. I don't know if I'm going to end up. I want to see who wins the quarterback spot because the offense. It's going to whoever wins the quarterback job. I think Henderson's the best fit. If he wins the job and they figure out the offensive line, which I'm skeptical of, then this offense can work. And then if the offense works, because they're going to use.
Did you go on mute? You went on mute.
It's all going to fall apart. The defense, it's going to need some help from the offense. That's going to come down to the quarterback and offensive line. So, before we give our verdict on who we think are viable candidates for.
I thought we agreed. I guess we're not.
Well, we're just going to sum it up, and then we'll sum up our favorite win totals and our pick to win it. If you want to follow along to see who I end up going with in the app, and if you want to see every college football pick tracked from me, Colin, and Duck this season, you need the Action Network app, award-winning Action Network app, I should say. We've got some huge improvements and updates coming in the weeks ahead, which I'm extremely excited to share with all of you in the coming weeks. But to get the most out of the app now and in the future, you'll need to be an Action Pro subscriber. With Action Pro, you get real-time pick alerts from our entire Action Network team of experts, plus Action Pro projections powered by Sean Kerner, the GOAT, and our predictive analytics team. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. BBOC listeners can save $20 off the annual price of Action Pro. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and use code BBOC20. That's actionnetwork.com/pro and use code BBOC20 for $20 off the annual price of Action Pro. And quick reminder on that live event, see some of you in the Chicago area, August 23rd. But let's sum up. Win totals, sleeper pick, and Big 12 champion. I'm pretty close to market across the board. This isn't like the Big 10 to me in win totals. Yeah. It's just the tiers I have. I have the tier 1 and tier 2, and I think the market pretty much agrees. My biggest edges are Baylor over and West Virginia over, but I'm afraid of that Baylor start. And do they get beat up? And so I'm trying to figure out the timing of when I'm going in on Baylor to win the conference. I'll be there at some point. They are my pick to win it. And West Virginia, maybe I'll throw my sleeper nominees are Kansas, West Virginia, and Houston. I'm leaning towards Houston as of right now.
You got your red on.
Maybe I'll throw a couple in. Still monitoring camps and stuff. I don't think they're going to move too much from where they're at now. How about you? Favorite win totals? Who's your pick to win it? And who is your sleeper worth throwing?
Yeah, favorite win total. I will say of all of them out there, I'm going to go over. I got 3 of them. So I got actually a couple win totals. I don't know which one is my favorite out there yet, but it's probably going to be Houston over 6.5 plus 110. I do believe in them a lot. I'll just go ahead and spoil it. Houston is my long shot favorite in this conference. I will shop around and see if there's anything better at some local books here in Arkansas. I'll probably do some digging around the connecting states, see what else I can find. But I do want to put a few hundred bucks on Houston at a big number to see if that just pays off, because we've had success with this before. This conference produced TCU. I believe they were 25-1 when Joseph Gillespie came back with Sonny Dykes taking over. So, I mean, it's not like it can't happen in this conference. From a win total perspective, speaking on TCU, I like over 7 minus 125. That's at Circa. I'll look for other alternate lines, see if we can get a little bit better juice on there. I don't like Texas Tech's number. I think we've gotten to the point in the summer where it's inflated too much. I put it right on 8. There are 5 games on the road that are going to be a tremendous challenge for this roster. For Joey McGuire to coach, he's only 6-10 on the road in his time at Texas Tech. He's 15-5 at home. His biggest games are on the road. They're going to have to prove it on the road, and if they do, that'll be at our ticket for under 8.5. But I make it 8. Arizona State under 8.5 minus 105. If you didn't get the chance to listen earlier on the podcast, the offensive identity of Arizona State is about to completely change, and that is going to be, and they have to take on the biggest boys in all of the Big 12. I just don't know if the personnel fits from what they did last year and how much Kenny D is going to change that up and see what they get out of that. They're loaded and they're talented and they return a lot, but Cam Scadaboo is a really big loss. I'm taking Iowa State to win the conference 12-1.
You're crazy.
Everybody is so focused on the fact that Noel and Higgins are gone from this offense, but that is not a Matt Campbell offense. A Matt Campbell offense is running 12-13. He's got a tight end room full of big dudes that can catch the ball. We are going back to old school Iowa State football with Rocco Becht, who had his best year as a freshman from a turnover-worthy play. He's getting back to that playbook and getting away from taking a little bit more deep shots like he did last year because of the weapons that he had on the outside. So Houston is the long shot. I'm taking over 6.5 on them. I'm taking Iowa State 12-1 to win that game. You can pretty much pencil me in for them against Kansas State in week 0, a team that they've covered 5 straight, won 4 of the last 5. I don't know if that's a Kleiman Campbell thing, but that is the record that's going on between them. And I don't know if I mentioned, but Utah plus 280 to make the championship game is also out there at select books like DK. I think Utah, don't buy these 6-1s. Don't buy these plus 550s. Yeah, I know these brand names sound hot. The Baylors, the Kansas States, the Utahs, the Texas Techs, whatever. Don't buy a future at 550, 600. Just get a championship game and find your way to hedge out of that if you need to at the end with all these tiebreakers, crazy-ass tiebreakers in this conference.
By the way, we forgot Arizona. So 2-minute Arizona. I just realized Fafita back at quarterback. You lose.
For how long?
What's that?
For how long? They're running like they brought in all these transfer quarterbacks and they're changing it to like an air raid.
Yeah. Bringing Seth Dagy, the Marshall OC, air raid guy. New DC, Danny Gonzalez. Guess what? Another 3.35.
Yep.
More 3.35 here. They had so many injuries last year. That's the bullish case. Like 3 defensive captains throughout the year. The offensive line was a mess. But they lose their 2 best receivers, including McMillan, to the first round. They lose a running back, Conley to the NFL. They lose your left tackle to the NFL. I don't like the offensive line. There's more injuries now. Like the projected starting left tackle, is he healthy? They're going to have a Hawaii center who's never played center before.
Hold on. There's a Purdue transfer quarterback. All right, now you go ahead.
Another Purdue guy. Defensive line, I don't love. They bring in some former like San Jose State secondary guys. Brennan, I'm not sure how long he's going to be here. And you got to replace Loop at kicker, my Ravens guy. That's not going to be easy. I don't love this team. I mean, they brought in 55 new players, a bunch in the trenches. None of them are forced. Like it's just not that much talent here. They do start with 5 home games in the first 6. They got a heat edge early. Maybe that's good. Maybe you can get off to a hot start. But there's only 4 Big 12 home games. The Kansas State game's non-conference. It's worth noting.
Yep.
50-1, best number out there, over 5.5 minus 105 if you wanted to go over. I project 5.2. I thought I was going to be higher on this team and be on an over for them to get to a bowl. Dug in, downgraded them. I don't see it. Questions all over for me.
I would go over. I'm not running to bet it. I think there are a lot of influencers out there right now that are pounding on the Wildcats to go under, and I think I'm just going to let that sink down. It may make better lines for us during the season. They need to figure out who their quarterback is going to be, but there are spots on this schedule that I really love. Kansas State is a non-conference game. I'm not saying Chris Kleiman is not going to take it seriously. I'm not saying Brent Brennan's not going to take it seriously.
No, that's a good spot. And the Kansas State's Dublin game out in the heat, no breaks.
And Kansas State.
That's a lot of travel.
Look, I mean, what is that? There's Army and a bye week. I mean, that's just a really bad spot. So and so I think that's a spot that you'd want to make a bet. Oklahoma State is a winnable game. BYU could be a winnable game if they don't figure out an offense. They're coin flipping with Colorado. What's Kansas's health going to be in November? I'm not saying you can depend on it for this win total, but really, honestly, like every November, this is a problem. And then at Cincy. So they're going to start off 2-0 with Hawaii and Weber. So, I prefer the over 5.5. Maybe we'll get that in the app right before the season starts.
I'm not a Brennan guy.
He did wonders in San Jose. Came into Fayetteville, knocked the Razorbacks around.
San Jose State was just fine after him, and Arizona went way down the tubes. I know they lost a ton and they had injuries, but
and Dino's on. Dino's not the OC anymore. Now it's
no interest. Arizona, they were my love with Fish, but not now. All right, that'll do it for us. ACC up next. And that'll wrap up all the conference previews. And week 0, we'll have an episode where we recap all of our favorites. We'll go through everything as of market, what's still out there. And then we'll be previewing week 0 games. Then before you know it, week 1 will be here. Voicemails will be here. We're getting close. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, tell friends, on how many 5-star reviews. Thanks to Colin for joining me as always. Thanks to our producer, Matt Mitchell, on the back end. Most importantly, thanks to all of you for tuning in. Make sure you download the award-winning Action Network app. Find all of our picks there. Best in the business. Thanks again. We'll catch y'all later. Cheers.
Peace out.